I never thought men like my fantasy boyfriend ever existed. Yeah, I've read romance novels, watched movies, and TV shows. Never did I ever think finding and dating a man with all these qualities in one man, no less, was even possible until I met my fantasy boyfriend. If they were to ever master cloning a human being, my fantasy boyfriend should be cloned for every woman on earth. I've started to share how I'm being treated by my fantasy boyfriend with my family and girlfriends. In my past, when I dated, I would find myself in the same going nowhere type of relationships that they're in now. Because of how I was treated poorly in such relationships, I just chose to be single. At the end of the day, we ladies are accountable for our own choosing to either be with a stud or a dud. The fact that we have the power to choose to be in or out, we need to exercise it and get out of those relationships where we're not happy, and to speak up when we're not treated well or how we'd like to be treated. Granted, if we have to tell a man how to treat us, he should be gone before we can say, "Sorry, you're not the one for me. I wish you well." There's no law in the books that says we have to deal with certain BS from people, especially when it comes to who we let close to our hearts. We are the prize, just like men too are the prize, but we all need to work hard to win each other's favor and to get close to those hearts. My fantasy boyfriend knows this, and he treats me like the queen that I was born to be in his life, just as I treat him like the king he is to be in my life. While I was never into older men before, my fantasy boyfriend has changed my perspective on dating older men in so many ways. And I talked about this before to myself. I keep talking to myself. We're almost on our 3-month anniversary, and I look forward to seeing how long we stay together, maybe even marry one day. All I know is that every day we just love each other more and more. Love has no age nor bounds. If you really love someone, no matter their age or yours, you will support each other, invest in each other, help each other grow, and make changes for the better. I see women my age marrying men their own age only to watch some of those men become physically ill, maybe die unexpectedly, maybe on the job, or maybe lose their job and start drinking heavily, even cheat on a really faithful wife. The point here is there is no perfect age to find someone, date them, or marry them. You have to look inside the person you're with. Is he good to you? Faithful? Loving? Caring? Does he help you grow? If so, snatch him up and take him off the market before somebody else does. Even if you just date him for 3 to 6 months or more, don't spend your days or months or years alone. Just find someone you could at least learn from, spend time with, grow. Who knows? You just might fall in love. There's an old saying. I laughed when my fantasy boyfriend told me about it. It might be a little crude, but I get the point. If we ladies don't make our man a sandwich and make love to him, some other woman will, and they'll be glad to do it. It's so true. I live by that now. I eat my man's food because he loves to cook for us. I'll cook if he wants me to, but I definitely know how to F him and make good love to him because I want to keep him all to myself. Cookies in bed, waiting on me almost hand and foot as I return the favor to him in like kind as well. You know, with my fantasy boyfriend, not all things are sexual. He helps me with my life, my work, my business. I've grown more of a backbone by listening to how he handles things like customers of mine who ask for refunds or wish to submit complaints against the work that I do for them. He always has just the right thing for me to say to them to cool their engines so it's a win-win for each side. He catches me when I fall. I don't feel alone anymore like I used to. At one point in my life, I lost my father. It was a very depressing and lonely time in my life. When my fantasy boyfriend came into my life, he took real good care of me. He spent time with me and listened to me as I told him about my father. That meant a lot to me. He didn't have to, but he did. And I got to get a lot of grief off my chest and out of my system. He helped me see things that I never could before. Again, dating my fantasy boyfriend isn't all physical. He can be quite spiritual as well. And I love him for that. He would say to me, he's not just looking for a girlfriend or a wife, but a money-making business partner in life, so to speak. A woman he can spend time with and work with, make money with, and make love on top of all those $100 bills that we'd be making together for fun and laughs. I would say to myself from time to time, I just have to get through this week or the work I'm doing, and then I get to spend time at my man's house. You know, when I'm at his place, I don't want to be bothered by the world. People say to me, you've been acting differently ever since you started seeing your fantasy boyfriend. Well, because of him, I learned how to establish boundaries and stick to them. I don't let anyone come between us anymore. Where some women will let each other rule over their relationships with their boyfriends, he won't allow such to happen. He doesn't let outsiders influence what he's built for us to experience together on the inside. Sure, he might listen to people's ideas, but in the end, he and I, as a team, we make up our own minds as to what's best for us. I think twice, too, about going to my friends for advice if something bothers me. No. Instead, I turn to my fantasy boyfriend, and we talk things out. It's just better that my girlfriends don't have negative information on their minds about my relationship with my fantasy boyfriend, that we were able to talk things through in minutes or maybe a couple hours. That information stays with us. He would say to me, are you starting to realize people have problems that you didn't see before? I followed up that question with a quick, yes, I do. For example, I don't want to keep hearing the repeated stories my girlfriends would share with me about the bad relationships they were in with the men they were dating or even married to. Hearing about their constant toxic back and forth relationships was something I couldn't listen to anymore. In comparison, it's like I was now living under a constant blue sky with my fantasy boyfriend, and they were constantly being rained down upon, and yet did nothing about seeking shelter or getting out of their situations to avoid getting drenched in what my fantasy boyfriend would call relationship BS. You know, if you're not happy, get out. If you're not treated the way you want to be treated, get out. Sadly, most women don't. I've been shown exactly how a man is supposed to treat a woman. I just never had it happen to me in past relationships. I never knew what was possible until I met my fantasy boyfriend. I would definitely not make those same old bad choices again. I'd rather be single for the rest of my life than submit myself to someone who treats me poorly. Because of how I'm treated by my fantasy boyfriend, I think I'm even more creative and organized. Maybe it's a combination of being at his place, as it's so organized, and it just fosters creativity everywhere throughout his house. Even in the kitchen, where he cooks, he's organized and ready to create almost any dish at a moment's notice. My workspace at home, for example, it's not like that at all. I used to take on many things and try to do too much, and without systems to channel what came to me. I would either put things off or deal with them later. Can you relate? or I was left confused and didn't know what direction I should take. Even with my current set of skills and talents, he pushed me further, which I loved. Going forward, I started wasting less time, and I even made more money. Having my fantasy boyfriend in my corner like that has just made me more calm, more organized, and to some degree, even more creative. He's totally sexy in my eyes for all of this. For ambitious women, to have a man in your corner like that, there's no telling where you'll end up. Rich? In the bedroom celebrating? Both? That's what I want. What do you want? After we make love, we have great conversations about life, business, social issues, friends, you name it. While most guys just turn over and go to sleep, not my fantasy boyfriend. He's wide awake to spend non-sexual time all cuddled up and conversing with me in bed. And I love that about him. Usually, an hour later or so, we start back up and make love all over again. So far, I'm starting to see a pattern with him. We hop in bed. We hang out in bed, naked. We talk. We make love. I come, or he does. We then talk and laugh. We might nap some. We'll wake up. We'll make love again. Someone comes. We then talk a little more. Nap some. Wake up. Talk. I don't know about you, but I love that routine. Love, learn, chat some more, make love, rest, talk, sleep, and make love again. What's wrong with that if that takes place a few nights a week? Maybe more. Yeah, he cooks for me. He takes care of me. All I'm left to do is take care of him. Deal. Count me in on that fun, loving trade. I'm a giving person, naturally, and I just never got treated the same in return with past men I dated. Because my fantasy boyfriend gives to me so much, I feel free to unleash myself onto him and give him all of me unconditionally as well. I feel now I'm making the most out of what life has to offer and how I'm supposed to live life with someone in my life like him. With my fantasy boyfriend, I'm finally experiencing that deep connection we as women long for. That never happened in any of my past short-term relationships.